Hey everybody, it's Kelly Cooper and welcome to another Facebook Live video. Today I wanted to address a question that someone had sent to me talking about, working with the teaching, LOA, conscious creation, all that warm fuzzy stuff, and trying hard to be happier, raise their vibe and whatnot, and saying how, they're not really feeling any better, nothing seems to be working. Now, I don't know the exact details of this person's situation, but there's a few general things that probably apply to all of us if you're having this issue, or at least one of them. So I want to cover some of the general stuff that might be happening. Number one, the harder you're trying to get happier and raise your vibe, the less happy you are now. Or else it wouldn't be so hard, right? Because it feels hard because you're trying to bridge like a really big gap. You're kind of swimming upstream against all this negativity, right? Trying to get happy. So if you're not happy now, part of getting happier genuinely, you have to see, well, why do I feel the way I feel now, right? You got to look at your shit. It's kind of unavoidable. And one of the main reasons that people struggle with this, especially from like an LOA conscious creation perspective, is you can't achieve a goal that's not your actual goal. And for a lot of us, if we're very honest with ourselves, and brutal honesty will be your best friend as a conscious creator, personal growth in general, because you can't change shit that you can't admit is there, right? If you can't look at our true motivations and all our fucked up ego stuff, it'll continue to rule us, right? For a lot of us, again, if we're honest, being happy is not your goal. You don't give a shit if you're happy. You just want your stuff. And you think you need to get happy to get it. Cultivating the positive emotion, again, it's not your goal. That's not the end goal. It's a means to an end. It's a tool you're employing to get what you want, to get stuff you don't have. So again, you can't really ever accomplish a goal that's not your actual goal. Lasting positive emotion will never come when it's not the goal, when that's not the main focus, actually feeling better. When feeling better, again, is a means to an end, something you think you have to do to get your stuff according to the law of attraction and according to how energy works. Any positive emotion you cultivate will be very on the surface. It'll not last very long because you're living very conditionally still outside in, with your outside determining how you feel. And if you're trying to get happy just to get your stuff and change your circumstances, and again, you don't actually care about actually cultivating the emotion for real, and again, it's not the goal. When things aren't changing fast enough for your mind's liking, when things happen that the mind doesn't like and it judges in a way that's bad, when things don't go the way it's expected, right, when your stuff still isn't there, you're not going to keep feeling happy. There's no real foundation for this energy. There's no momentum behind it. Again, it's not genuine really, because you're just cultivating it to get your stuff. And when the stuff's not coming, you're not going to keep feeling happy because, again, feeling better is not the goal. You don't care about feeling better. You care about getting what you want, and you're doing something that you think is going to get you what you want. And like anything else in life, when we're employing a means to reach a certain end, and that means doesn't seem to be working, we're going to kind of give up on it, right? So a lot of people too, you kind of give up on trying to be happy after a while maybe because it's not working, because you're not getting what you want. So, is it okay that you want stuff you don't have? Absolutely. If I was somebody that thought you shouldn't be concerned with your outside world at all, and who cares what your life looks like, I probably wouldn't be so interested in a teaching like the law of attraction. Because I'd be like, well, no, who cares? Don't try to get anything, just be happy with, you know what I'm saying? So I encourage you to want stuff. A lot of the stuff you want, there's no reason not to have it. There's no reason to struggle with a lot of the things we struggle with. There's infinite abundance. There's no reason to struggle with money. There's 7 billion fucking people on the planet. There's no reason why you can't find at least one person that could make a good match to get married, right? There's no reason. There's plenty of people out there, right? Plenty of job, all these things. So, right, all the stuff we want, there's no reason not to have them. It's okay to want them. As a human, there's a few core things we care about in our human life that we want to see. It's very understandable to want money, a relationship. No one wants to be sick. It's okay to want to be healthy. It's okay to want to like your job and have a job or a career that you're passionate about. All this stuff, right? So I'm not discouraging you to want stuff and be like, well, don't want anything. But energetically, trying to get something you don't have and trying to change your energy in ways that you will align with these circumstances externally, these are very, very different things. And your mind, because your mind doesn't understand energy, it doesn't understand how the way that it wants you to approach this teaching and approach your personal growth work, it doesn't understand how much it fucks you up. Because your mind keeps you in the attract stuff we don't have mode, let's change what we don't like, let's try to make our bad feelings go away mode. And energetically, you see the problem with that mode, because what are you focused on? What you don't have, your circumstances you don't like now, and all your negative feelings. And everything you're doing is fighting against all of that, trying to change it in a way that all of that stuff just goes away and then you don't have to deal with it anymore. And LOA 101, if you're focused on all that you don't have, how can you manifest different reality when all you're focused on is the reality where it doesn't exist? And all you're thinking about all the time is how it's missing and what you're lacking, you know? So that's the thing you have to understand about how your mind wants you to operate. How your mind wants you to operate, no matter how great of an argument it presents and how valid you think your negative feelings are and justified, that none of that will invalidate universal spiritual law and how the universe functions, right? You can't get a pass on doing this inner work because, well, wow, your circumstances are pretty crappy. So yeah, you don't worry about changing your inner world. I'll hook you up anyway, right? It can't happen. I'm getting off a little bit of a tangent, right? So that's one of the main reasons you're having a hard time getting happier. It's not your actual goal. You don't give a shit if you're happy. All you care about is getting what you don't have. And again, it's okay that you want it. But when you understand what we understand about energy, we see how the mental, emotional headspace we're in that mode of operating, we see how that's going to be a problem. We see how it's hard to cultivate positive emotion, again, when it's just a means to an end, just because you think you have to feel better to get what you want. As a human, will there always be a little kernel of you that's driven by the ego mind and driven by just trying to get what you don't have and all that fucked up human mind part of you and just thinking, convinced you'll be happier if this thing happens or this thing changes? Yeah, of course, that's part of being human. It's fine. It's not a problem. But we can't let that part dominate us anymore. If we're going to still let that part of us dominate and then we're going to try to do all this energy work and that's where we're coming from, it's a very painful, frustrating ride. You might still get stuff here and there, but the good stuff probably won't really be consistent. You'll probably be getting stuff that's on a level that's kind of like, you'll probably get a lot better than that, but your mind has a very low bar for what it's willing to accept into your life, and your mind will be happy with it. So you see all these things, right? You see operating from these spaces in the world of energy, you see the challenges it poses. And if you keep trying to just get happy to get your stuff, and your top of mind driver is getting what you don't have, making your bad feelings go away, again, cultivating that emotion in any real, lasting, consistent way where that's more your default mode of operating, that's how you feel most of the time, it'll never, ever happen. Because again, your positive emotion will always remain conditional on your outside circumstances. And when things aren't happening to your liking as fast as you want them to be, in the exact ways your mind thinks you need all this stuff, right? The feeling just goes right out the window because it's not real. There's nothing there. There's no real weight to it. It's just very wispy and fleeting, and it's still always based on what's happening outside of you. So you have to ask yourself, honestly, again, you have to be honest with yourself, all your attempts at your energy work, have you been truly trying to change your energy in a real way, or you're just trying to attract the stuff you don't have, and you're still very externally focused on what you don't have and what you want to see in your outside reality? Again, your mind thinks this is the same thing. Your mind thinks you're working on your energy by doing that. And you are in very surface ways, but it's not going to be very successful, as you see, because the positive feelings don't last because, again, they're not the actual goal. You don't care about being happy. You care about getting your stuff. That's mind's number one priority. Your mind doesn't care if you're happy. It doesn't give a shit. Your mind actually thrives. Its power lies in you being unhappy, because the shifts you make internally and all that stuff that leads to true happiness, your mind is like, no, that takes away its power, because then you don't listen to all its nonsense and you start to see truly how dysfunctional it is. So that's one of the main reasons you're having a hard time being happier, because it's not your goal. So it's not going to work. And like I said before, the harder you're trying now to be happy, the less happy you are now. Bridging that gap means you have to kind of purge that energy that's leading to you not being happy. The second thing I would say too is, and I talk about this a lot, you're talking about, right, trying to be happy, doing all this stuff, doing right to raise your vibe or whatever. Tools and techniques, affirmations, vision boards, journaling, all of these things, right? knowing what we know about energy, these things can have great value in helping us activate energy that we might not be able to activate by looking in the circumstances of our life now. There's nothing to really latch on to give us that energy, gives us some focus, some structure, right? Helps us activate beneficial energy. But in and of itself, tools, techniques, programs, all of these things that can be hugely helpful, in and of themselves, they have no power. And because our mind is so action oriented, we carry over that tendency into energy work. And we think if we do enough, eventually something will have to change externally, something will have to change externally. There must be a right and a wrong way to manifest, and we just need to find the right combination of tools and techniques, and then we'll unlock the code, we'll crack the code, and then we'll get what we want. And what happens with a lot of people is using your tools and techniques and all of these things, we're kind of using them from a bit of a fucked up space energetically. We're not really trying to cultivate positive emotion in a genuine way. We're just trying to get stuff we don't have. So we engage with all of these tools and techniques. We're not really having any real emotional response to them. And if they're not changing us emotionally, they're not serving their purpose, and doing them is not going to really help you in any way. And we do our techniques and we do our tools. It's kind of, for a lot of us, if we're honest, it's kind of like this rote, like we're knocking out a homework assignment for school that we have to do for the teacher. And we'll have to go get my homework done. It's kind of the same thing after a while. We're not getting any juice from these activities. They're not helping us in any way. And then we think, well, I'm doing all this stuff and nothing's changing. It's like, yeah, well, an affirmation is just words. A vision board is just pictures. If emotionally it's not doing anything for you when you engage with these things, your energy is not going to change in any way. And again, if your energy is not changing, your reality sure as hell isn't going to change either. So you can do these things if they truly make you feel better, but you have to get out of the mode of thinking that in and of itself, just taking the action in the form of whatever personal growth work you're doing, in and of itself has no power to change anything about your inner world, right? So that's another thing too. If you're doing stuff that's not feeling good, you can stop doing it because it's not going to help anyway. Take a break from all that stuff if you're really into it and it's feeling stressful and anxious. So for a lot of us, right, again, the goal really isn't true energetic transformation. It's just trying to get stuff we don't have. So for a lot of people, when they're going into this sort of personal growth work, there's an underlying tension. It's tainted with all this anxiety and resistance to where you are now, and focus on what you don't have, and just trying to get the stuff you don't have. So even though these things can be hugely helpful, the way we're engaging with them energetically, they're not helping in the way that they could be helping us, because our energy just isn't allowing for it to work, that benefit to shine through. So yeah, that's kind of the main things here. The harder you're trying to be happy, the less happy you are now, and you have to deal with that. Because if you keep trying to just change your energy from this space of resisting where you are now and just trying to layer some positivity on top of all the negativity, again, just to get something you don't have, all this energy you're contending with now that you might have been carrying around for most of your life, that's been dominating your experience this whole time, I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, it's not just going to go away. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily dig deep and root out every fucking thing in your energy and create some perfect vibe, but you're going to have to feel it and acknowledge it and see what you're working with. It's hard to be a conscious creator when you're not conscious of your energy. It's a very challenging thing to accomplish. Being happy is not your goal. That's probably another reason why you're struggling. You just want to get your stuff. And again, it's okay you want your stuff, but energetically and everything you do, if your top of mind driver is getting what you don't have, all you're going to be focused on is the fact that you don't have it. And your mind thinks, well, I get to feel that way. Yeah, bravo, great argument, mind. But again, all your mind's bullshit arguments for operating the way it wants you to operate, none of that will ever invalidate how energy works. You can't exempt yourself from it, right? And again, if you're trying, hi, Brianna, I'm going through a rough time and started back at the gym, which was great, but I'm burnt out emotionally, physically, mentally. Yeah, if doing things that help you feel better, but yeah, like if you're feeling good going to the gym, then keep doing it. If you're doing things again that aren't feeling good, don't force yourself to do them. Give yourself a break, regroup, and see if you feel inspired to do other things, or you might feel inspired to go back to the things you've already used to do to manage your energy, and then you feel better in going back to the space. So yeah, don't be afraid. If you're very into like the action of trying to feel better and you're doing stuff, it's good, but only if it's making you actually feel better. Yeah, being in a toxic relationship too, all of these things, right? These things are, your circumstances. So yeah, make sure that your goal, if you want to be happier, the goal has to be, that has to be your goal. It can't be your means to an end, because trying to change your energy meaningfully and trying to get stuff you don't have, these are very, very different journeys. They'll look different. They'll feel different. You'll see very different results in your life. And the journey of just trying to get what you don't have, you still might be able to get stuff. You might be able to change your energy here and there in surface ways to let stuff in, but it probably won't be consistent, like business and money, for example. Every once in a while, you'll get some juice from a tool or technique about getting a new client or manifesting money, and your energy changes enough. You let some money in, you let a client in. Will the money be consistent? Will the clients be consistent with that approach? Probably not, because there's some deeper stuff there that's being manifested, being shown to you in the form of your business struggles, right? And if that energy remains dominant, your business, besides here and there getting some money or a client, right, you won't really see much difference, right? So yeah, the getting stuff you don't have journey, your mind makes a good case for it, and it's tempting, because then your mind thinks, well, then if you just focus that way, you don't really have to deal with your stuff. Let's just keep trying some new tools and new techniques and get what we want, blah, 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 right? We don't want to deal with our feelings. If you get what you want, you'll feel better and you won't have to deal with your feelings. But yeah, if you're not happy now, and the less happy you feel now, the harder it is for you to get happy now, the less happy you're feeling in the moment. And it's okay if you're not happy. You probably have a lot of stuff going on. Your mind's telling a shitty story about it. Probably been suppressing emotions that you're not dealing with. If you feel shitty, it's probably understandable that you feel shitty, and it's okay. Most of us, we carry around a lot of stuff because we don't deal with it, and our mind's very dysfunctional. So yeah, to truly be happy, you want to deal with all of that, and all of that changes your energy in very dramatic ways, and you have no choice but to manifest different external circumstances. But again, when the focus is always going to be on changing the circumstances, and everything you do is about getting what you don't have, and all of your positive emotion is just a means to an end. I'm just getting happy just to get my stuff. If I get happy, I'll lose weight, I'll get a boyfriend, and that's the only reason why you want to change your emotional state, is not, again, because you don't actually care if you're happy, you just want to get the stuff you don't have. That emotion being lasting and consistent and occurring naturally, and without always feeling like you have to work on being happy, it's just impossible. It can't happen. So try to make the goal actually being happier, knowing that leads to all sorts of energetic shifts that your reality has no choice but to change. You don't have to choose one or the other, being happy or getting your stuff. You can do both. And the stuff will come much more quickly and much more easily when it's actually not the focus. Your mind doesn't understand this, though, because your mind doesn't understand anything about how energy works. And as long as you keep reminding yourself how little it understands, you'll be in a much better position to reject its bullshit, and when it's trying to get you to do things in a way that you know is not energetically friendly. Because one of the reasons that you keep doing things the way it wants to do it is a part of you still identifies very strongly with it and thinks it actually might be right. And you're afraid if you don't listen to it, you don't have much proof of this other way, and then your mind's making these great arguments. It's like, well, what if my mind is right? I should keep listening to it. No, it's not right. I guarantee you, anything with energy, whatever it's telling you, I guarantee you it's not steering you in the right direction. And as long as you keep reminding yourself of that, you'll be more confident releasing its grip on you. You'll be able to release it much more easily, because you'll truly understand how wrong it's steering you all the time. So yeah, that's it, guys. That's all. That's the main thing I'll say about that. That's what I'll say about that issue. But the main thing probably is being happy is not your goal. So you can't achieve a goal that's not the actual goal. Make the energetic transformation, the emotional healing. Do your best to prioritize that, because that's what you actually want, is to feel better. Your mind thinks you feel bad because of your circumstances. You don't. You already felt bad in some way, and the circumstances are just triggering stuff that's been there forever, however long it's been there. And you tackle that, you get what you want right away, which is to feel better. And when you're feeling better, you're not so focused on what you don't have, because you're not looking at anymore to make you feel better. You can still want it, but this desperate sense of need you might have around it now, you're not going to feel that anymore, because you see you can feel better without it, so you're not going to feel like you need it. So as long as your mind keeps convincing you that you can't be happy unless you get this thing or that thing, you lose 20 pounds, you get a boyfriend, you make more money, your business you make some arbitrary amount of money or whatever, you'll never let yourself be happy if you don't have it, because you think, well, I can't be happy without it. And that's a very dangerous way to think. But then when you start to see that's not true, again, you can still want the stuff, but this need you have around it, and this everything you do being about just getting what you don't have, you're naturally not going to do that anymore, because you're going to see like, oh yeah, that's not actually the key. I could still want it. I still want these things. I still like to see them in my reality, But this needing it, no, I don't really need it. Actually, the only thing I truly do need, I need my happiness. That's what I want. That's what I really need. And that's what I'm going to work on right now. And I know that will automatically lend itself to this stuff. Again, it's not an either or proposition like be happy or try to manifest what you want. You can do both. You should, but the happiness, the true emotional transformation and healing, that needs to be the priority. And then this difficulty you have with getting happier, it's not going to be so difficult anymore because that's your actual goal. And when it's the actual goal, you're actually transforming your energy in real ways and not just as a means to an end to get something you don't have, as some sort of stepping stone to your stuff. You're focusing on what you should be focusing on, and your energy will change. And if your energy changes, your reality has no choice but to change because the level of cause is transforming. It has no choice but to look different. How it's going to happen, what the whole journey will look like, anybody's guess, no fucking clue. But just be open to it, knowing it will change. And yeah. So make sure feeling better is the actual goal, not the means to the end. Don't hold tools and techniques and external resources responsible for these energetic emotional transformations. They can help. In and of themselves, they have no power. So if you're doing stuff that's not truly emotionally resonating, you're better off doing nothing. Energy work can take the form of anything that makes you feel better. It doesn't have to be official personal development work like affirmations or a workbook or whatever. It could be being in nature, volunteering your time, a hobby, right? As long as you're feeling better, your energy is changing in ways that will manifest things into your life that will have these same positive feelings attached to them. So yeah, that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. For more content, head on over to livelifemadetorder.com, where you'll find podcasts, blog posts, information about my coaching services and products that I have on offer. Livelifemadetorder.com. Yeah, that's it, guys. Have a good day or night. Bye-bye.